Welcome to the Seniors Rock Show, presented by the Law Office of Michael Robinson, PC, on News Radio Wham 1180. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion shining a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join in with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now from the News Radio Wham 1180 studio in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Hey, welcome to the Seniors Rock Show. I am Joanna, and I'm your host here with my co-host, Michael Robinson. And Mike is with the Law Office of Michael Robinson, PC. And I thank you all for joining us today. We've got a great show planned ahead in the next hour. And, listening to those numbers in the news, if you were listening, it's hard to be positive, but we try to do that every week. And we do know there's been some good things that have come out of the pandemic. And so today we're going to look at some of those. And if you're a regular listener, you might remember a feature we've been doing. It's called An Uplifting Moment. And we played some soft music, and Mike read an inspirational quote. And basically, we just took a minute to take a breather. And we asked listeners to close their eyes, except if they're driving, of course, and just breathe. Well, Mike, I know you're listening, so it seems we were on point with that, because closing your eyes and breathing deeply is something that a lot of folks are doing now, especially adults 50 years old and over. And mindfulness apps and yoga activities actually skyrocketed in 2020. And at least according to consumer electronics fitness company Fitbit, there was a 1,002% increase in meditation and a 236% increase in yoga in this age group in the past year. So that's kind of crazy, right? Those are big numbers. But we know why. It's a reaction to the pandemic, of course. And, so it's good news that we have these healthy habits coming out of the pandemic, and we hope that these habits continue to grow. In fact, today we decided to dedicate today's show to healthy trends and the things that the experts are saying are here to stay. So we're going to be talking about those things today. We're live, and as always, we'd love to hear from you. If maybe you've picked up some new habits to be a better you in this area, in any area actually. Um, Call and share it with us. It's 222-1180, and join us in the discussion. We'd love to have you. And speaking of joining us, Carol Bartlett, the Executive Director of the Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly, is our guest today. And she's a great person, and I can't wait to talk to her. And speaking of joining, also joining us is my co-host and outstanding estate planning and elder law attorney, Michael Robinson. So, hey, Mike, how you doing over there? I just wanted to mention before you start talking, I know I have the gift of gab, but I just wanted to say that you really do help folks to be better. And when I thought about it, you help them to be better planners with their estates, right? And then you help them to better understand elder laws. And that's a big thing. So, uh, those things have a big influence on the quality of life. And that would be for, a person or someone that they love. So, Mike, thanks for what you do for families, and welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Joanna, and happy Saturday to you as well. And yes, I mean, as you know, one of the core values of our firm is education, and specifically educating people on the different issues that do arise in estate planning so that they can make sure they and their families are properly protected. And that brings us to this week's edition of our feature, The Myths of Estate Planning. And of course, in this feature, we talk about what are the myths and misunderstandings out there that do get in the way of people having proper planning. And so today's myth, or I should say this week's myth, is that once I've signed my will or trust, my estate plan is all set and I don't need to think about it anymore. But the truth is estate planning should be revisited on a regular basis. Although a comprehensive estate plan will give you peace of mind, and kudos to putting one in place, it isn't something that you do once and then put on a shelf until you die, because there are so many reasons that people periodically may need to update their estate plans. One of those is changes in the law. This, like so many areas of our life in the estate planning world and the elder law world, there are continuous changes in the law. Oftentimes, there's significant changes, and estate plans can be out of date. And even though your wishes may not have changed since the time you created your plan, law changes may interfere with carrying out those wishes unless the estate planning documents are updated. Another area that people often overlook is just changes in the family, new births or deaths, marriages, divorces, remarriages, children getting older. It's very often we'll meet with folks who did their wills when their children were small, and now the kids are in their 30s. And of course, whoever was named as their guardian probably doesn't want them at this point. So there's another reason to do some updating. And the changes can impact not only who do we want to receive our estate when we die, but who do we want to manage our estate when we're gone? Because the person who may have been a perfectly appropriate fiduciary when we were younger may not either be alive or just may not be appropriate at this time. People's assets change, valuations change, and frankly, just as we get older, sometimes our wishes change, based on experiences, new relationships, new interests. So good estate planning should be reviewed on a regular basis. Doesn't mean that everything has to change on a regular basis, but at least people should be revisiting their plans. And in fact, you know, we feel it's so important that we meet with our clients at no charge to review their estate plans because we do not want there to be any reason for someone not to contact us about review. So again, if you've done an estate plan, a comprehensive estate plan, kudos to you. That's a wonderful thing you've done for yourself and your family, but make sure you review it on a regular basis with your attorney.
Great advice as usual. Thank you. And there are so many myths, Mike. I like that you do this every week and fill people in on things that, are perceptions, but not reality usually. And, we know better than ever now that changes are in our future and always will be. So, folks, listen to Mike's advice. Contact your attorney or contact his office if you have questions. They will give you some advice, with no obligation tied to it. And if you go to their website, mrobinsonlaw.com, there are lots of things on there too that'll be helpful to you. I've been on there several times and still need to go back and watch some of the videos because there's so many great pieces of information there that'll help you. But what a important thing to keep those things updated, Mike. So thanks for that. And I was thinking about some other things, but I can't help but look at you on the screen here, folks. We're remote, and Mike's got his Buffalo Bills hat on. So I'm thinking about the game. We're getting excited already, huh?
It is. And of course, I made a rather bold prediction last week. It didn't turn out quite the way I thought, but we did come away with a win. So that was fun.
Yeah. Did
Um,
you get? Wait. Did you get your shrimp cocktail from your friend for the bet?
it's a, Joanna, it's supposed to arrive this afternoon.
Ooh, what time
Um,
should I
s
come over?
there you go. Right. So
You're lucky we're quarantining.
I'm going to hopefully be eating it during the game and sending a picture to my friend.
How fun is that? What time is the game again tonight now?
It's an 8:15 kickoff. So
Wow.
prime time, and it's going to be a tough one. I do think, well, I mean, the Bills are going to have to play probably their best game of the year. I think this is probably the most challenging team in terms of matchups that they could particularly face. I still think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I'm excited for it.
Well, I think the whole town is excited, and of course Buffalo is, but we're close enough. So I can just picture everybody getting ready now, and the tailgating will start. I'm sure. Well, it's noon, so I guess they'll start it already. And my father-in-law, my husband, all the kids in the family are all rooting for the Bills. So go Bills tonight. And
Indeed.
that's a positive thing to think about. And we try to do that, as we said. And when we come back after the break today, we're going to go into some things, as I said, that are positive things that came out of the pandemic, a silver lining, if you will. And we don't want to be Pollyanna-ish, but we do want to leave you with some good feelings today because there's enough of the other stuff going around, right?
Exactly. And as you say, it's not being a Pollyanna. You can certainly recognize all of the difficult things that are happening, but you don't need to focus on them and ignore the positives that are out there.
Absolutely. And we know one thing for sure, as I said, there are really positive health trends that have come out of this pandemic. And a lot of them are for older adults. And we expect them to grow and continue into 2021 and beyond. So I'm thinking we'll talk about something that we've been talking about for a while. And Mike, I know that you do some meditation. Why don't you tell the folks about the first positive health trend that we noted, and that is pretty much like our uplifting moment.
Sure, and that is, mindfulness practice, and it is definitely a trend this year, as you cited some of the statistics, people increasing awareness and practice of meditating and yoga, and the research proves and continues to prove that that really works. And in fact, when we come back, we're going to talk about a UCLA study that on published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, as well as some other research regarding meditation and mindfulness training.
Very interesting stuff, folks. Don't go away. We will be right back on the Seniors Rock Show on Wham 1180.
The Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly, or GRAPE, is proud to sponsor the Seniors Rock radio show. Since 1992, GRAPE's members, all professionals working with and for older adults and their families, meet for monthly educational and networking programs. The GRAPE organization looks forward to introducing you to some of their members during the Spotlight feature on the Seniors Rock show. Learn more about GRAPE or join as a member at grapeelder.org or call 585-256-4351.
The bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the bills are making it happen now. Stand up now.
And welcome back, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm attorney Michael Robinson here with host Joanna Pelvino on the Seniors Rock Show. And that is a song I am hoping that the folks in the stadium are going to hear quite often this evening. And so, Joanna, shall we continue our conversation on positive health trends?
Yes, please. You mentioned the UCLA study. That was interesting. Tell them about that.
Yeah, so there was a UCLA study. It was published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease that found that people age 55 and older who enrolled in a 12-week program consisting of an hour of meditative yoga once a week, plus 12 minutes of at-home meditation, had significant improvements in both verbal and spatial memory. And there's so much research around this. And it's shown, Joanna, that even as little as 5 minutes a day of meditating can have a demonstrable impact, not only from a mental standpoint, but from a physical standpoint.
And you
And
know that to be true personally, right?
correct. Yeah. As we've talked about, I started a meditation practice 7 or 8 years ago. And for me personally, it has reduced my stress levels. It's helped me be more self aware and simply helped me live in the moment, as they say. And there's so many resources, lots of apps out there, many of them free to help people get started, or even for experienced meditators to help with guidance. And it's not, so often we sort of picture somebody sitting on a pillow with a turban with their legs crossed when we talk about meditating, but it's really just being still, focusing on something like your breath, and learning how to not stop thoughts, because we can't stop thoughts, but just being able to let them go, watching them as they sort of drift in and out of our mind, noticing them, but not latching onto them. And
That's
so
right.
it's a wonderful exercise. And then on the truly physical end, we've got so many virtual fitness training options now. You don't need to go to a gym. There's videos and classes you can take. You can subscribe, to some of them. But again, many of them are free, and many of them are specifically tailored for seniors.
Yeah, and
Um,
some of them are the same ones that they're going to be familiar with, but now they're virtual, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's strength training with Vivo or Silver sneakers, with so many people are familiar with Silver and Fit, all of that's able to be done virtually now, and not only does it help you gain strength, but it helps you build balance, increase mobility and stability. Flexibility becomes so much more important as we age, and even if things that you can do while you're watching TV, maybe during commercials you do some stretching or some, some of these exercises. So it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be some sort of special,
Right.
equipment intensive arrangement.
Right. You don't have to have a special outfit or anything like that. I mean,
Exact.
yeah, you don't have to be all that. You can, stretch your legs in the kitchen by holding onto the counter and just putting them behind you and pushing. That's what I do sometimes, because I spend a lot of time at that sink for some reason. But anyway, I try to make the best of that. And I love these things. So we're going to talk about a few more things that have come out of the pandemic. And one of them is active vacations.
Right.
And so cruises are out, my friends, and we know why. And today's older travelers, what I'm finding out is they want more socially distant types of vacations. That makes sense. And in many cases, they want a little more adventure too. So, adventure travel companies are really doing well. And one of the things I thought was interesting was backpacking trips. And I guess they're all the rage. And that's for people, in all ages, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And it's attracting people who used to take very elaborate vacations, but now they want to have that outdoor experience. So I think that's wonderful because it's healing to be outside. We talk about that all the time, and some of these folks, I understand, actually, they have a nostalgic desire to recreate camping trips from their youth. And I have so many wonderful memories of taking my girls camping and some of the fun that we had, at the campfire and going to the shower at midnight because they're full of soot, and getting washed before they go to bed. But what wonderful memories we had. And so spending time in nature and reaping the health benefits are very popular. And guess what those are? It can actually lower your blood pressure, can lower stress hormone levels, and improve your mood. So there's lots of reasons to get outside, folks, and have a mini vacation, take a walk in the woods, whatever. There's lots of things you can do to get outside and not have to make a big deal of it, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, just this week, I was talking with a client, and she was telling me about some of the recent vacations she has taken, and that involve not only getting outside and having some adventure, but learning.
Oh,
Oftentimes,
yeah.
whether it's through Elder Hostel or other programs, because as we age, we don't lose our desire to learn new things or have new experiences.
Absolutely. And you know what's cool? I found on my phone one day, this is another thing if you're out walking, there's a thing on your phone. If you put it's on the camera part. I have a Droid. I don't know how it is on the iPhone, but there is something there that if you point at something, a little box pops up and it'll tell you what kind of a bird it is or what kind of a tree it is. That to me is so amazing. So talk
That's
about
very cool.
learning. Yeah, you can do it right on your phone. It's cool. So, yeah, so those are some of the things. Active vacations, that's one of them. Another thing that is really doing well is plant-based diets. And, I think being home, we all tended to eat a little too much. And maybe folks now are realizing that it's beneficial, especially for older adults, to, plant-based diet is shown, it's scientifically shown to lower risk and improve symptoms of chronic diseases, things like high blood pressure, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancers too, and even Alzheimer's. So you might start doing this. Plant-based diets are healthy. So if you're like, how am I going to do that? I was raised on meat and potatoes like me. Um, what you can do is just start eliminating some of the animal protein in your diet and put some plant in there. So maybe instead of having meat for breakfast or lunch, keep it for the dinner hour, and and substitute the vegetables and things like that for your breakfast and your lunch. So
Yeah,
those,
that's
yeah.
so important. I'm a notorious carnivore, but even I have been working to incorporate more vegetables into my diet.
It helps, and it does help us with the old waistline too. But that's we're looking today at the health benefits. And Mike, I think there's another thing that we were talking about, telehealth. Tell them about that. That's crazy.
Sure. Well, it's a way, especially in the pandemic, to make it easier to see healthcare providers, whether it's a dermatologist, a psychotherapist, even your general practitioner, from the safety and comfort of your own home. And older adults in particular can avoid hospital stays by adding some easy to use monitoring equipment to the video chat mix. So again, lots of resources there.
That's great. Now, folks, Mike and I are both members of an organization that keeps up on healthy aging trends and services that are available for aging adults and their families. So that organization is GRAPE, and the Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly is our guest today. So coming up is the Executive Director of GRAPE, Carol Bartlett. She's going to tell us more about their organization. It's very caring. And again, Mike and I are both members. So listen up. We'll be right back on the Seniors Rock Show, and stay with us. There are many ways to save energy, reduce your carbon footprint, and increase the comfort of your home. From simple steps like upgrading lighting to properly sealing and insulating, or maybe using a more sustainable energy supply like solar panels. Your home can be more efficient starting with a home energy assessment. Call Wise Home Energy. I did, and I'll be saving money and be more comfortable this winter. Yay! Happy New Year to me. You can save and celebrate too. Call Wise Home Energy at 585-270-5836 or visit wisehomeenergy.com.
Genesee Valley Physical Therapy.
Hi, this is Dan Geen, physical therapist and owner of Genesee Valley Physical Therapy. And today I'm bringing you a very important public service announcement. The state of New York is a direct access state, which basically means you do not need a doctor to refer you for physical therapy. You can simply call Genesee Valley Physical Therapy, and one of our friendly, knowledgeable receptionists will talk to you and help determine if we can help you feel better with either traditional physical therapy or even wonderful aquatic physical therapy. So please don't suffer in pain, and please remember you don't need a referral to see us. We adhere to strict CDC guidelines and even offer telehealth visits if you prefer. Call us or visit GeneseeValleyPT.com today. There's a convenient location near you, including our newest location in Pittsford in the Bushnell Basin office building.
We'll help you get there. Genesee Valley Physical Therapy.
Guest on here, and Carol Bartlett is her name. She is the executive director of GRAPE, and GRAPE is the Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly. And Carol's been the executive director since July of 2019. So prior to that, she spent a career in hospitality with Visit Rochester and also some area hotels. And Carol's a lifelong resident of the Rochester area, and she currently lives in Fairport with her husband and golden retriever. And the golden retriever's name is Oliver. I love it. Anyway, she has 2 adult sons and 1 daughter-in-law, and that daughter-in-law is soon to make Carol and her husband grandparents of twins. That's so exciting. So congratulations, Carol, getting through a tough year leading GRAPE with flying colors, and also on the pending birth of your grand twins. Welcome to the Seniors Rock Show, Carol Bartlett.
Hi, Joanna and Michael. Thank you so much for.
Hi, Carol. It's a
having
little
us.
it's a little tough to know when you're there or not when we're doing this remotely, but I'm so happy to
Yeah.
have you here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show and for both of you being so supportive of GRAPE. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I've been a member for a long time, and it's a great organization. And because the listeners may not know what we do, can you give us a little bit about the history?
Sure. Well before I was involved in GRAPE, like many organizations or ideas that it started with a conversation between a couple of people who worked in senior aging world, but that was their jobs, and they felt that there was something lacking, and that was a professional membership organization that would link all the services and programs and those that were working in senior, anything to do with seniors. So that was kind of formed back in the early 90s, and almost 29 years later, we have 250 plus members. We're governed by a board of directors, and our main goal is advocacy, education, and networking. and we try to do our best to get some information out there to all of the employees. You were talking about wellness and health, and Michael was talking about wills and trust planning, and all of those types of things are information we want to get out to people who are working with seniors, because they need to have the information to help them as much as they can. So we have a very
Absolutely.
diverse membership. We have seen people that work in senior housing. We have people that work in home care. We have people like Michael who are attorneys. We have financial planners. So we have a very diverse membership.
Yes, absolutely. And I love what you said about you know giving information to the community, because that's what we do. And the committees really are the heart of the organization, and those committees are what I think bring all of us out and together at the same time. Because tell the folks about some of the committees that we have.
Yeah, so we're a small staff. It's basically me, and I have a one very part-time person. And of course, with COVID this year, we things had to be cut a little bit. So I could not do this job. It is a membership organization, and it is made up of committees such as program committee, membership committee, a budget and finance committee. We have 8 or 9 working committees that consist of the members of GRAPE. So they really run their own organization. For example, the program committee helps find the sponsors and the speakers for our meetings every month.
hmm
So
And the housing
I,
committee is really cool too, because I learned so much about the different types of housing that were available or are available by going, on tours of all these different places when we could, safely. And they're still doing it today, with the COVID, but not as much. But when we were more open, and we will be again, it was a terrific part of the membership to be able to go into these different types of housing to learn about them. Because, as you said, you don't know anything about aging, per se, until you get to the point where you really need to know. And nobody wants to talk about going into senior living until maybe a loved one or they're looking at it themselves. So, we try to educate people. And one of the educational things, we do a lot of community events. And one of them that we can't do right now, I know, is the annual legislative breakfast. Can you mention that?
Yeah, so every February, we would have a legislative town hall meeting where the members of GRAPE would get a chance to bring some of the senior issues in front of our legislators and local officials, just to bring attention to some things that they may not be aware of, or that they can take back and talk to their committees in Albany. So of
hmm
course we are not able to have a 200 plus person breakfast at this time. So that committee is working behind the scenes. We think there already is, and there will probably be some issues arising due to COVID, and that's something that will probably we're in the middle of still, so we don't know
Right.
how things are going to end up. So they're working hard, and we'll be able to come back full force, I think, in
Excellent.
February of 2022 with that event. So
Yeah, and that's an amazing event, and it really does. We take the messages from everyone to the legislators. Now, the health fairs, you figured out how to do that remotely. Tell us about that.
yeah, so one important role of the marketing committee is to get information about GRAPE and its members out into the community. And we, on a monthly basis, did elder care health fairs in the hospitals, so that case managers, social workers, other staff could come down to where we were having our fair and collect all the information they needed for their patients. They're discharging patients, and they need to know what kind of housing is available, what kind of home care is available. Do they need help with insurance? Do they need an attorney? So we, of course, can't go into the hospitals right now, so we have moved that to a virtual Zoom format, and it's been very successful. They can the hospital staff can either gather in one room or in their offices, and we have our members do 2-minute presentations, and they still get the same information they would have in person. And we even send a bag ahead of time for each of them with everybody's brochures and all their information. So it's still important that they have all that information. So it's
hmm
still working in the virtual format.
What a great benefit for the members too. I mean, both ways. It's getting information to the folks who really need it about the housing and all the other services, but also the members are getting their information to people. And that is why I'm going to segue right to, and I'm excited about the new feature that we're going to have every week available to the GRAPE members, and it's called the Spotlight segment that we're going to do for GRAPE. And each week, we're going to welcome GRAPE members to come on and do that 2 minutes talk so that our listeners will also know about some of the things that are out there, because you'll be surprised. And, there's always new things being added and new services and, things like telemedicine. We didn't know anything about that a couple years ago, but we've learned a lot in the meetings and we've had lots of presentations. So, I'm excited about that, Carol, and thank you for helping me to put that together. And I know we just announced that, and we've already got some folks that are signed up. So that's going to be cool too, right?
Yep, that's going to be great. It's a great way to get to know our members and the resources that are available.
Wow, yeah. And tell them your contact info, Carol, because we're going to go to break, but we'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks for being on the show.
Our website's GRAPELDER, GRAPELDER.org, and our phone number is 585-256-4351. And when you're on the website, you can click on the elderpages.com, and we also have a resource directory.
Excellent. We'll talk to you soon, Carol. Everybody stay there. We'll be right back on the Seniors Rock Show.
In these uncertain times, we're all concerned with protecting our family's legacy and hard-earned assets from nursing home costs, unnecessary taxes, and the expense and delay of probate. At the Law Office of Michael Robinson, P.C., we've spent over 34 years helping families just like yours preserve their wealth and leave a lasting legacy for those they love. Register for a free educational webinar to learn how you can protect you and your family. mrobinsonlaw.com. That's mrobinsonlaw. Anna Palvino. And, Joanna, it seems like there's a national day for almost everything.
There is, and it's funny, right?
It is. It's a constant source of amusement for me. Did you know that today is National Nothing Day?
Really?
Yeah. I don't know who came up with that, but supposedly it's a day when we're all supposed to not celebrate anything at all. So,
of course, the Bills are going to be celebrated. I mean, let's admit it, right?
I was just going to say, I'm hoping that the Bills are not celebrating National Nothing Day today. But of course, yeah, right. But of course, Monday, we honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so many things in life are contextual, right? We experience events and thoughts differently depending on what's happening in our lives at that moment. And so this year, as I've reflected on Dr. King's legacy, what's stood out to me is that he accomplished so much through peaceful means.
Absolutely.
Dr. King was a student of Gandhi, and while he spoke frankly and passionately about the inequities and injustice that he saw, he spoke just as passionately about addressing those issues in a loving manner. Dr. King was as angry as anyone else about racial injustice, but he did not exhort people to destroy property or loot businesses or violently storm the halls of our government or attack police officers. In fact, he did exactly the opposite. He exhorted us to demonstrate and to speak out against injustice with dignity and in peace. He well understood that violence begets violence, hate begets hate. And as eloquent and moving as is his I Have a Dream speech, the speech that stands out to me this year is the speech he delivered in Memphis the night before his assassination. He acknowledged in that speech that our nation at that time was, in his words, sick, and he recognized the imperative of organizing and mobilizing to heal that sickness. But he also said that in doing so, and I'm quoting here, it is no longer a choice between violence and nonviolence in this world. It's nonviolence or non-existence. That is where we are today, unquote. And so for me this year, as I think about where we are as a nation today, Dr. King's words are just as relevant, if not more so, as they were that night in Memphis in 1968. So that's what I'm thinking about today and what I'm going to be thinking about on Monday.
Well, beautifully said. And I just love the way you reflect on things. And maybe it's part of coming from that meditation you do every day. But you're very grounded. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I can't imagine anybody disagreeing with those thoughts. And this week is going to be an interesting week. And we'll all be praying that we follow Dr. King's words and make it a peaceful week and a good transition, right?
Absolutely.
All right. And there's a lot going on, and there's things happening in the world today that are kind of new for me, and some of that involves um, uh, LBGTQ plus. And I have tried to, be open-minded and learn about some of the things that are, surfacing with younger people, and I'd like to embrace and be educated so that everyone, I treat everybody fairly and equally, and I understand, some of the struggles that they have. So I had a few things happen to me in the last couple of years, and so I have invited a guest to come on next week to help me to understand and to help the listeners to understand how to be a savvy ally. Excuse me. So we hope you'll join us next week, folks. Our guest is going to be a local author. Her name is Jeannie Gainsbourg, and she's lives in Pittsford, and she's a volleyball player. She's a fun woman, and we're going to talk to her about the journey that she took that led her to write this book that I am reading right now, The Savvy Ally, and it's a guide for becoming a skilled LGBTQ plus advocate. So we'll learn what all those letters mean, and Jeannie will answer our questions about current appropriate vocabulary, use of pronouns. That's a big thing right now. You might have noticed that on emails and on letters. People are using pronouns like she and they, and why we shouldn't be embarrassed because it's new to me and new to so many of us. Don't be embarrassed. She'll help us to understand why if you make a mistake, it's okay. And don't feel you're offending someone. Just uh, try your best, and she'll help us, as I said. But let's face it, many seniors never even heard the word gay during the school year. So how are we supposed to be educated about that? So we're going to bring that to the show and open the door for Jeannie Gainsbourg to educate us next week. So I hope you'll join us for that. And I don't know, Mike, have you had any instances in the last few years? I mean, do you feel like that's an important topic for you too? Because I know things have come up in my life, and I felt awkward, and I don't want to be.
Sure, it is, and and it's good that that there is increased visibility for that community. And so often when we talk about these things, it's the concept is attacked as political correctness, but it's really just about understanding other people and and being conscious of how our words and actions might impact other people.
Agreed. And I think it's also like you say every week. Go ahead, tell us what you say every week.
Well, have a good week, everyone, and as always, be well and be kind.
That's right. Be kind, folks. So next week we're going to teach you how to be kind to more people because it's important. And tonight is a big day for a lot of folks, or a big night for a lot of folks. So go Bills, and don't ever forget, everybody, that seniors rock.